Have you ever had the feeling that the way she looked at you meant something, but you just couldn't figure out what it was? As if, behind that seemingly innocent look, there existed a world of intentions, desires, tests, and hidden messages just waiting to be understood? If this has ever happened to you, take a deep breath, because what I'm going to reveal to you now could completely change the way you understand female attraction, and especially how you react to a woman who silently desires you. Pay attention. When a woman looks at you, she is not just seeing you. She is analyzing, evaluating, feeling, and female psychology leaves no doubt. The look is one of the most powerful weapons in the game of emotional seduction. We're not talking about cheap tricks or shallow pickup lines here. This is about understanding her mind strategically. It's about deciphering with surgical precision the visual codes that her body emits when she's really attracted to you. Every micro-expression, every glance away, every extra second she spends staring at you has a specific meaning, and if you know how to interpret it, you'll gain an advantage. You'll no longer depend on chance, luck, or guesswork. You'll have clarity. And this clarity is what separates men who live in frustration from those who master the emotional game of conquest with confidence and elegance. Feminine psychology applied to relationships reveals that a woman's desire is rarely stated in words. It first manifests itself in the eyes. And the problem is that most men are so distracted, so insecure, or so emotionally blind that they miss these signals every day without even realizing it. You may have been wanted and done nothing. You may have been tested and failed without knowing it. And all this because no one ever taught you to see what really matters. But today, everything changes. I'm going to show you the 9 signs that appear in a woman's eyes when she really wants you. And they are not obvious signs. These are details that escape ordinary eyes. But now you will start to notice them. Just notice when she looks at you, but in fractions of a second she looks away, as if she wants to hide something. Or when she holds her gaze a little longer than would be socially expected, as if she wanted to say something that cannot be said out loud. Has it ever happened to you when you're talking to a woman and, for some reason, you feel a different tension in the air? As if her eyes were trying to tell you a secret that her mouth would never reveal? This is not imagination. This is female psychology in action. Most men ignore these details out of pure conditioning, but you're here because you want to go beyond the superficial. Women, from a very early age, learn to disguise their true feelings. They are trained by society not to show desire explicitly, but the body doesn't lie. And the look is where this desire escapes rational control. When there is sexual curiosity, no matter how small, the look in her eyes gives it away. It can be in a slower blink, in a fixed look full of intention, or even in a game of controlled shyness, in which she seems to escape your gaze, but then returns to look at you, as if testing your reaction. These micro-movements happen in seconds, and it is in these seconds that you need to be attentive, because that's where the code is. The intensity of her gaze says it all. Whether she wants to get closer, whether she is evaluating your masculine presence, or whether she is projecting some unconscious fantasy onto you. A simple raise of an eyebrow, a sideways glance when you turn your face, or even that moment when she pretends to be distracted, but is seeing you through the reflection of a shop window. All of this has meaning. So tell me here in the comments, have you ever noticed any of these signs and ignored them? Have you ever felt that look crossing the room and thought, could it be me? Comment here. Now I see. I want to know who is really paying attention. Few men know this, but a woman's body reveals much more than she would ever confess with words. And the most impressive thing is that these signals are not controlled or rehearsed. They are purely subconscious reactions, visible only to those who know where and how to look. One of the most powerful is the dilation of her pupils. When she desires you, when she is emotionally stimulated by your presence, her nervous system reacts automatically, causing her pupils to increase in size. This is not magic, it is neuroscience applied to attraction. It is the body reacting before the mind even has time to filter it. And if you know how to identify this at the exact moment it happens, you will see the desire before she even admits that she feels anything. Another invisible but revealing sign is an increase in blinking frequency. When a woman blinks faster than normal, it may indicate emotional anxiety, inner excitement, or anticipation of something that is yet to happen. This happens a lot on dates, or during a conversation where she feels like she's really being seen. Sometimes she's trying to maintain control, but her eyes give it away. It's as if her body is saying, I'm nervous, I'm interested, I'm trying to appear calm, but I'm not. These visual micro-behaviors activate parts of the brain that deal with emotional reading and nonverbal intention. You don't need to say anything. The simple fact of noticing these signs and remaining firm Safe, calm already puts you in an advantageous position, because the man who masters these signs becomes rare. He enters the field of male emotional intelligence, where female body language becomes a direct map to her desire. And that's the kind of thing no one tells you. So, if you've ever noticed that different glow in a woman's eyes and were unsure what it meant, comment here. Now I understand the sign. I want to see who is really absorbing what few men can see. Now that you've started to notice the more subtle signs that her eyes reveal, it's time to go deeper. Because there is a type of look that few men understand, the look of proof. It seems simple at first glance, but it is actually part of a silent psychological game. She looks at you, not to admire you, but to test your posture, your confidence, your masculine presence. It's an emotional selection test. She wants to know if you're the type of man who stands your ground when observed, or if you'll fall apart with just a more penetrating look. And that's where many go wrong. They look away, smile insecurely, or try to impress, when in fact the best thing they could do is simply hold your gaze naturally and calmly. This test look is not about direct seduction, it's about internal validation. She's trying to understand if you're emotionally secure enough to not be shaken by the discomfort of intense eye contact. It's as if, without saying a word, she's saying, "Show me if you can handle it." And if you fail at this moment, she feels it, not rationally, but instinctively. Because female psychology reacts to male behavior based on ancestral signals, on invisible selection patterns that are in her unconscious. So, I want you to think now, have you ever been in a situation where her gaze caught your attention and you didn't know how to react? Have you ever felt like she was looking at you as if she was expecting something from you, and you just looked away, afraid of seeming invasive? That's the point. Many female gazes are not an immediate invitation. They are validation traps. An invitation disguised as a test. And the secret is to not react with emotion, but with observation. When you master this art of noticing without letting yourself be affected, you gain control over the interaction. You show quiet strength. That changes everything. So comment here. Now I understand the game. I want to see who has been through this and now finally understands what was happening in that moment. But the look that will really mark you is not the quickest one, nor the one that seems like a test. It's the look of delivery. It's that rare moment, silent and charged with emotional tension, where she lowers her eyes for a second, perhaps smiles slightly, and then looks at you with an intensity that burns you inside. It's at that moment that her body speaks loudly, without any words. Her look turns into a confession. She has already made up her mind, and now she wants to know if you are ready to take on the role of a man who understands, who leads with emotional maturity. Feminine psychology shows us that this moment is loaded with meaning. It's no longer a test, it's no longer a doubt. It's an emotional surrender disguised as chance. When a woman gives you this look, she is saying that you have gone through all the invisible stages. She felt safe, she felt presence, she felt something that awakened a real desire in her. And this desire is not just physical, it is emotional, instinctive, ancestral. You have become, in that moment, the center of her attention. And this is where many men make another mistake. They confuse surrender with neediness. They confuse intensity with urgency. And they lose the game because they don't know what to do next. That is why knowing how to identify the look is only the beginning. What you do with it is what defines your value as a man. The look of desire from a woman is the high point of nonverbal language. It is when she takes off her armor and allows you to see something intimate, deep. It is not cheap seduction, it is connection. It is in this look that everything is decided. And if you have learned to get this far, then you are already one step ahead of most. Now I want you to go back to a certain point in your life and think, have you ever seen that look? Have you ever felt that she gave herself to you for a moment, but you didn't know how to recognize it? Tell me in the comments. Now I know what that look means. I want to know who is really paying attention. And stay tuned, because in the next video, I'm going to show you exactly what to do after that look happens. Because identifying it is the first step, but knowing how to act is what separates the ordinary men from the irresistible ones. Now tell me honestly, while you were watching this far, did any specific moment come to mind? A look that seemed confusing before and now makes perfect sense? Because the truth is that many men have experienced situations in which a woman gave everything away with her eyes, but due to a lack of emotional reading, they missed the chance to act. Maybe it was at that party, when she looked at you over the top of her glass, pretending to be disinterested. Maybe it was on the street when she held your gaze for too long to be a coincidence. Or on that date, when you noticed something different, but didn't know how to translate it. What seemed like just a neutral look, you now understand that it could be an invitation, a sign, a test, or even a contained desire. These moments are marked because they never come back. But now you are learning to see clearly, to master the codes of female psychology, and most importantly, to develop your emotional perception so that you no longer depend on chance. This video is a turning point, because those who watch it until the end are not curious. They are committed to becoming a more emotionally intelligent, more attentive, more confident man. And this changes everything in relationships, in conquest, and in the way you are perceived by women. So prove to me that you are really in this process. Comment below. Now I see, just so I know you made it this far and that this message awakened something inside you. I'm going to read every comment. And in the next video, I want to show you the next step, because recognizing the sign is just the beginning.